welcome back. Hope you're having a good week so far. So recently, Empire magazine shared some things from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and some different images. There's some interviews, an article that came out. I just want to share some pictures that they released, some like up close and more detailed looks at the villain who's going to be Namor. So this is one picture. A lot of people have been really fond of the reception so far to these designs and these look that they have revealed. What I have seen has been pretty positive reception and positive feedback from the fans, liking how they have adapted his design and his look live action. I can say that I would agree with that for sure. I think it's really cool to see um, that his design, even though he comes from a different cultural background from, compared to uh, Black Panther, there's still this really tribal, historic, like ancient aspect to his look that fits in with the Black Panther world, or like what Ryan Coogler introduced us to in Wakanda in the first Black Panther movie. So I think his look here is really cool. He has like we see the different types of facial piercings and this really cool neck piece, chest piece. It's basically jewelry, but more of like a chest piece at the same time. We see a top of a belt down here, his spear. So I think that's a really cool look. This is another image that has been floating around, a more up close look of his face. This is what we see in the other image, but it looks like there's something else on him in this one as well. Tanaka Huerta is the actor who's playing Namor. And an interesting thing he revealed in the Empire article is that Namor is a mutant in the MCU. So that's pretty cool. Scarlet Witch and, well, the brief, um, time that we saw her brother, her twin, Quicksilver, or Petro, they're mutants. And that was kind of the first time that we saw when they introduced them in Ultron. There wasn't really any mutants that had been involved in the MCU. And then, of course, now Scarlet Witch has been carrying on through movies and, the series and everything, the last Doctor Strange movie. So it seems like they are incorporating mutants more in the live action universe. And of course, we kind of expected that to happen once they acquired the X-Men and stuff from, like, they're kind of working them in more now. The Fantastic Four are going to be showing up. There's also the cameo appearance from Professor X in Doctor Strange. It was, again, brief, and it was kind of just like a one-off thing. But we are starting to see them being incorporated more now in the MCU, and it seems like Namor is going to be included in that. So that's pretty cool. It adds another interesting aspect to his character, especially with, things like, strength or, superhuman abilities that we should expect to see. Adds another layer of making, the fact that he's a villain in this adds another layer to that aspect as well. This was the cover. Really cool. We see Queen Ramonda, Shuri, and then Namor, their respective characters that they're playing. So a lot of people have been sharing close-up looks of Namor with his headdress on in this picture. This is another like armor piece that he has here on his chest. So I think he's going to look, and of course Queen Ramonda looks amazing. In the first Black Panther movie, the costumes were pretty on point. I do think that they stood out compared to other MCU movies, which granted they should, because Black Panther opens up this whole new world in the MCU and, very separate and isolated from the rest of the world. And so it should stand out in that way. They've done a great job so far with the costumes in the Black Panther arena, or the Black Panther category of the MCU. So I think they're continuing to do a great job here now that we see Namor. We're going to see that aspect of Black Panther's world opened up as well, because they have their own whole world that we would expect to see a unique design for, similar to seeing, Atlantis and the Atlanteans for Aquaman in DC. It's kind of, similar type of unique design and unique world that we were expecting to see for Namor as well. There's another look with the headdress and kind of a more complete look of one design that we can expect him to see, what we can expect to see in the movie. Here is another look at the. This is a huge. I don't know if you call it like a shoulder piece, with kind of a some sort of a cape on the back, not a full cape, but really interesting designs that they are showing here with Namor. I believe that's a shot that we see in the trailer, and you see some other of the characters back here in the background. So I'm there's a clearer look at that picture. That one looks better. It's a better quality. I'm interested to see um, more. Like, I want to see another trailer for this movie. I expect that there should be one pretty soon. It comes out in November, which is not very far away. Another interesting point that came out was that Kevin Feige confirmed that he and Ryan Coogler had planned to tease Namor in the first film in kind of like a tag or a credit scene. He said Ryan had a pitch for a tag at the end of Black Panther. The camera would push through the palace in Wakanda, and then we would see wet footprints leading up to the throne. So they did have that planned, but that didn't end up happening. I'm not quite sure why they didn't use it, but ultimately they did not. Also, in the article, Ryan Coogler kind of describes using Namor as an antagonist in this film. He describes him as a dream antagonist. He kind of describes, he says that the contrast between T'Challa and Namor, their characters and their nations, just leaps off the page, talking about in the comic books, and he's a dream antagonist. So just a little bit of background on Namor. He's also the leader of an advanced civilization, similar to T'Challa, and have often clashed with Black Panther. So that's kind of a little, basic description of his character. And then Tina Cuerta, who is playing Namor, kind of described a little bit of the inspiration or how they chose to adapt Atlantis. He says, this incarnation of the character inspired by the culture and history of Mesoamerica. So that's kind of the cultural aspect that they are bringing to the live action adaptation. You can see it there. You can see the inspiration behind that with the design and all of these really cool elements and details in these pieces that he's wearing and his headdress and everything. You can see that inspiration. He said you can take Atlantis from Greek myth or you can adapt it from a real culture. It's kind of this cool mixture of mythical and real life cultures. So rather than the ruler of Atlantis on the screen, he's the ruler of Talocan. And so that's kind of where they're switching a little bit from this underground. They still are going to obviously have a water aspect to their culture, but that's the nation that he is the ruler of in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It says he's drawn to the surface by the ramifications of T'Challa's decision and Black Panther's final reel to reveal the truth of Wakanda to the world. So obviously he's still coming from an underground nation, but it's not going to be called Atlantis. He goes on to say that decision puts Talocan in jeopardy, and Talocan has to take action to protect themselves. One detail that is carrying over from the comics is, according to Huerta, his Namor is indeed a mutant, and that's what I was talking about earlier. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see this new character being brought into the MCU, and not just, like I said, not just a new character, but this new world also that we're going to be introduced to again in and being involved with Black Panthers. I know probably a lot of people are still wondering, and I don't know if they're going to tease it in a trailer or not, who's going to be the next Black Panther. Is it going to be Shuri, M'Baku, someone else? We really don't know. Well, I don't. I'm not sure if that's something they're going to reveal in a trailer or tease in a trailer, or if that's something that we're not going to see until the movie actually comes out. It could get spoiled one way or another. I'm not, those kind of things do happen. But I think it's going to be another great movie. I know it's going to be bittersweet not having Chadwick Boseman, but I think it's going to be cool. I think he's going to be another great villain. Personally, my favorite MCU villain, or one of my top MCU villains, is Killmonger, which was the first Black Panther movie. So I think Ryan Coogler is probably going to have two of the top MCU villains under his belt. And it seems like, he takes these characters pretty seriously and these movies, and it seems like the story is going to be interesting. now that the rest of the world in the MCU knows about Wakanda, and that's going to have pretty serious, ramifications for Wakanda and now for these other nations that it also puts in jeopardy. So I'm interested to see how all of that is going to play out. Also, before I forget, the supposed runtime for Wakanda Forever is being reported at 2 hours and 41 minutes. There are Cineplex Movies is reporting it. There's also there's some theater chains that are listing it at the same runtime. So that's pretty long. That's a pretty good length. It seems like this one would need to be a pretty decent length because there's a lot of things they need to kind of address, such as, T'Challa not being alive anymore in this one, showing who's going to be the next Black Panther, Namor, the world and all these governments getting involved with the fact that Wakanda has now been revealed to the world. So it is a lot to cover in the sequel. Of course, because Chadwick passed away, unfortunately, that was kind of another aspect that they had to add to the movie. Since he was not recast, they can't just kind of continue the same way they would have with as far as the story had they recast him or had he, still been alive to play the role. So they kind of had to add that aspect into the story as well. It seems like that, it wouldn't really serve it well if it was too short, because they'd probably have to rush through a lot of things or gloss over a lot of things. And the fact that Namor, that's a whole other nation that they have to introduce as well. Maybe not in as much detail, but it's obviously a whole new world that they have to introduce. It's not just a human or another Wakandan character that's the villain. So I think if this sticks to 2 hours and 41 minutes, I think that's a pretty decent runtime for this movie. But I just wanted to share that because I thought it was pretty cool. Thank you guys for watching. Check out the links in the description, any videos you might have missed recently, and shout out to any new subscribers. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.